MotoGP is underway.
Oh, this is
My
big.
goodness me.
Oh,
Zarco's gone. Back-to-back wins on the Yamaha. Jack Miller wins the Spanish Grand Prix. Oh, the world champion's down. Oh, Marquez is down. That's Marquez from the lead. Pecco Bagnaia has crashed out of the lead in the Italian Grand Prix. And his leathers are wide open here. Miguel Oliveira wins his third MotoGP race. Drink it in, Marc Marquez. You're a MotoGP winner again. Martin wins in MotoGP for the first time. A big, big storm is coming. Binder's staying out. Brad Binder is risking it. Can you believe it? What a MotoGP race we have had. Oh, Marquez is down. Back-to-back poles, back-to-back wins. Absolutely unbelievable. Oh, Pecco's down. That's Pecco Bagnaia crashing out of the race. We have got a world champion. Fabio Quartararo becomes the first French rider in history to win the MotoGP World Championship.
Welcome back to Qatar. Welcome if you're just joining us and this is your first taste of the MotoGP action so far in 2022. A record-breaking 21 races we have ahead of us. Michael joining us here in the lineup. What a day we're having so far. I've had a couple of cracking races, haven't we, so far? But Michael, let's just go through some of the headlines, starting with the world champion, Fabio Quartararo. Not looking great during testing, was it really? And we're not quite sure what to expect.
He's still the reigning champion. He's not happy because he's not got the horsepower step up that he wanted. He requested from Japan. They've obviously worked on the engine, but so has everyone else. So they're looking at a little bit more speed. Those upgrades may come in Europe, but it'll only be marginal gains. So he's still fast. He's still got race rhythm, but he wants more speed to battle the Ducatis and the new Honda.
And he was battling Pecco Bagnaia last year, who came into this as one of the favourites for the season. But Ducati have been changing things last minute, haven't they? What's been going on there?
Proper last minute. They came into this season favourite, the best bike like last year, won the Constructors' Championship. But Ducati, in the 11th hour, have changed their engine ever so slightly. So the 2022 version, they've sort of thought it was a little bit too aggressive off the bottom. So they've gone like sort of in between the 2021 and 2022. A little bit confusing, but basically the factory team have got that spec engine. The sort of satellite teams have got the 2022 version. And then some of the other two Ducati teams have got the 2021. 3 different spec engines for Ducati. They want this title this year.
Ducati's have got 8 bikes on the grid. And while I say that, why don't you have a look at how the teams do line up? And there are 3 incarnations, as Neil said, of the Ducati. And it'll be interesting to see how they develop during the season, because currently at the moment, we've got 2 of the older bikes ahead of the factory bikes. We've only had qualifying, and it's the first race, but let's see how that develops. What about Suzuki, Sylvain, in terms of their qualifying, in terms of their speed? They wanted more for qualifying. Didn't quite seem to happen yesterday, although we had some weather conditions. Have they got a chance this year?
Yeah, 100%. The Suzuki, so there's only 2 Suzukis, but they've made a good step this year. We've been working a lot on that new 2022 spec engine, and this is loads better. We have more RPM, more power. And also at Suzuki, it was the last manufacturer to come in with the rear height device last year in Austria. And the first version was actually not very good. It was just a prototype, not very good. We've been working on that a lot. And in Sepang, winter testing, and here in Qatar, we're coming up with a new rear height device that works really well. Increase the top speed, and we've seen that on Friday, didn't we?
Yeah, we certainly did. They were top of the table until we had that horrible headwind yesterday, which thwarted them in qualifying. So hopefully more to come from the inline 4s. One word about KTM. They were trying to make the step up last year. They couldn't do it. Have they done it during the winter? Can they do it this year?
They definitely can. They've got Francesco Guidotti. They pinched him from Ducati. I think he's the man who can steady that ship. Rather than throwing 7 different chassis at it like they did last year, I do think that they will just condense their program a little bit, and they've got the horsepower to deal with it.
Well, we haven't been here, we haven't stood here for 3 years. So as you can imagine, when we got here, Neil couldn't wait to get his leathers on. First of all, to see if they still fitted him. And second of all, to jump on the bike and do a lap under the lights. Here he is.
I've done plenty of laps around the Losail circuit over the years, but believe it or not, this is the first time I've done one in the dark. This is the exact time the MotoGP race will be, so it's going to be fascinating to see what the riders will be experiencing under these lights.
So this is it! The Losail circuit, fast, flowing. Most riders love this place. Let's see what it feels like. Let's get on this kilometre up straight. So we're out of the last corner, up through the gearbox, all the way to 6th gear, down to the braking zone, and it's 220 miles an hour on the GP bikes, into a late apex turn 1. This is where Jake Dixon had that crash in practice. High side of that turn 1, the tricky turn 2. Wow, over the years, that's caught so many riders out. Through the kink of 3, whoa, hit the curb there and it's not a little bit slippy, out on the curbs. Up to turn 4, the track levels off here. You can lose your front trail braking in, then you get on the throttle. And you take these as one really. I've gone through 4, turn 4, turn 5. Whoa, she's spinning up into there. Whoa, deep down into turn 6, the hairpin. It feels so slow because there's so many fast corners on this track. Up to turn 7. This is such the technical part of the track. You've got to be patient. We're definitely wide through there. And then you get through 7 into 8, but don't go too quick through 9. Otherwise, it really affects the important turn 10. Got to get a good exit through here. Another hairpin, great overtaking opportunity. So we get through 10. This is where the GP bikes really spin up. Oh, I tell you what, we're going to move in a bit there. Through 10, 11, into 12. It's so fast, out into the curbs, curb to curb, curb on the inside, up to 14, again, curb to curb, whoa, we're a bit wide there, sorry about that, and then down to 15, this is the penultimate corner. Now in the race, you've got to get a good exit out of here on the last lap, otherwise, as you go up to the last corner here, you will get past. So it's about getting a late apex. Watch this. Into the apex, perfect. Stand the bike up. Just like that. Out onto the curves. And then behind the bubble. And you hold your breath. Hope and pray. Nobody passes you over the line. And that's late right down there. What a track. Honestly, I absolutely love it. I've enjoyed riding round in the dark. These lights are incredible. I mean, you can see every bit of the track. The only strange thing is seeing your shadow. I was that slow, I got passed by my own shadow. How was that for a line? Tell you what, I've missed that, I can't lie. Just as expected, fast flowing. It's a wide circuit, lots of lines, and that's why this track makes for great racing. One big surprise was riding under the lights. By the time I got to turn 1, I'd forgot about it. It's so clear, it's just like you're riding in the daylight. Superb, absolutely love that.
A lap of the track, courtesy of Neil Hodgson. So, Michael, what did you think then? Was he passed by his shadow, or was it really, really good?
I always look to try and put the positive spin on it, but I'm not sure. Telling us it was spinning up, I don't think it was spinning up.
Spinning up, Neil, really? That was not spinning up.
I think the clutch might have been slipping. I heard the RPM go up.
And you might want to strengthen as well the steering damper a little bit, because there's a lot of shaking going on.
I don't know why. When you're on the limit, though, this is what happens.
All right.
Do you know what, Sylvan, though? We have a little phrase in England. It's people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
All right.
Because yesterday, Sylvan did think that Fabio Quartararo's skipping was easy until he had a go, and this happened.
Oh, you do both?
Yeah.
Oh, that looks so hard.
Just to jump.
So you do this?
Yes.
Oh,
More or less.
I got in there. So you do it like that?
Yeah, but not up.
Like that?
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Hey!
Oh, nearly. Merci, Fabio.
Yeah, you might need to do a bit of practicing, I think, Sylvain.
Yeah, a lot of practicing. I mean, skipping is definitely not my thing, is it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it could be. It's competitive now. Fabio can do it. Surely by the end of the season, you can do it.
He did say, though, that we need to have another go at the end of the season. So I'm going to get ready for this and, you know.
Get training.
Terrible.
Yeah, get training.
The backstory was he'd seen Fabio do it, and you're like, oh, it's only skipping, it's easy.
That's
Do you
what he
remember
said
that
to
line?
us. He was
Oh,
like, it's too easy.
It's easy.
After a few beers, though. So I got
anything-
maybe a little bit optimistic.
Everything's easier after a few beers, though, isn't it?
Let's find out at the end of the season what happens when we revisit the skipping challenge. There was a reason why Sylvain was talking to Fabio Quartararo, the reigning world champion, of course. So sit down, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's your time for your double French lesson.
How are you, Sylvain?
How you doing, mate? You good?
Great.
Yeah?
Yes. Nice to talk in English with you.
Yeah, I know you love it. 2021, you've done an amazing season. The first MotoGP world champion from France. How has winter been?
Yes, to be honest, was crazy. Let's say the first part of the pre-season, I had a lot of media, a lot of events, but let's say it's part of the game, and the notoriety was going much higher in France, but felt amazing because, you know, was my dream when I was a child, and I achieved it. So right now was more last year was on a cloud, and we are here to repeat it.
We still managed to enjoy it, no? I think we've seen you doing some really cool stuff with some superstars. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Have you enjoyed that?
Yes, I've enjoyed a lot. I've been to PSG still. That, you know, has been my idol since I was a kid, and or at least people that I admire a lot. Was really cool.
How do you rate the new 2022 Yamaha?
To be honest, really similar to 2021. Our big request was to increase a little bit the top speed. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it. But the most important is my feeling is exactly same as last year on the bike. Aerodynamic, we improved a little bit. So let's see if during the year we can make a small step on the top speed. But let's say I rate the bike quite high. Just, you know, the part that we were really needed to improve, we didn't get it. But I'm quite happy about the bike.
I mean, at Suzuki, for example, we're finding it hard to find, you know, the right balance from like adding a lot of aero, and obviously you add some drag and you make the bike slower. But then if you take too much off, you lose stability and you have more wheelies. So it's harder to let's say to find the right balance. Do you find that this is an issue as well with the Yamaha?
Yes, from Suzuki I heard they had a good test rider. But yeah, like you said, a little bit more charge aero. At the moment, we don't find the perfect balance because, you know, you can have 2 aero package in 1 year, and we will try to make one as soon as possible just for the top speed to improve. Yamaha is working on it, and let's see if we can gain small things.
Fabio Quartararo becomes the first French rider in history to win the MotoGP World Championship.
I mean, obviously, you were the champion last year. Everybody's looking up to you. Are you kind of like defending, or are you just going on the attack and you just don't care?
If you start the season defending, you are totally wrong.
I agree with you.
And
I'm glad you say that.
to be honest, I don't care about last year now. Last year, when I will be old, I will always remember that moment. But right now, the only thing I have on my mind is to win on Sunday.
Okay, Fabio, well, thank you very much for speaking to us. I know you're not going to comment on the negotiation for later, 23, 24. But, you know, if you want to go on the Suzuki, just give me a buzz.
I will call you. Thank you.
It was a lovely, relaxed chat, that, Sylvain, with Fabio. And it seemed like he was really able to draw a line under the season, doing some different things. And that's so important, isn't it, to the difference between, 21, 22, go and do those football things. So how fantastic for him.
Yeah, this is great. And it's again, Fabio showing some great attitude, you know. He's 22 years old. I mean, the lad has just won the World Championship, the MotoGP World Championship. His ultimate goal, his ultimate dream since he's so little. And he's so level-headed. So this is great, you know, for France to have a champion like this. And he's a great lad to speak to.
He's a lot of fun, isn't he? A great attitude. And he said that's done now last year. Not interested in it, only interested in this year. And it was a difficult start, wasn't he? He had to go through Q1 to get to Q2. And then he's qualified 11th. But what about race pace? What can we expect today?
Well, the race pace is good, really good. The problem is there's a kilometre-long straight just behind these garages here. And every time he gets on it, if he's in a battle with somebody, if there's a Ducati behind him now, if there's a Honda behind him, KTM, they'll all pass him on the straight, so it's going to be really difficult for him. Last year we saw he was incredibly strong on the brakes, but he's going to have to be again this year. The problem is with that, there's a risk element of always trying to make your lap time by braking later. At this track, we know if you get offline, you can make a mistake, it's slippy, so difficult for him, very difficult for him.
Jorge Martin, he's your pole man who's just going out onto the grid. In fact, we've got 3 out of the top 4 are Ducatis, Michael. Are we going to see an all Ducati podium? We've also got a very big Honda name on the front row too.
Yeah, I think for all 3 Ducatis to end up in the podium is going to be a tall order tonight. I think they're going to probably set the pace in this race. They're normally good in the run to turn 1. Jorge Martin led 18 laps here last year as well, so I think he's going to try and set the pace, but he's been saying this new engine is a little bit aggressive. He doesn't know how that's going to work in terms of tyre life, so it's going to be a tall order to stand in the top step, but he is a fighter.
Enea Bastianini alongside him, Neil. He was just getting better and better and better last year, and here he is on the front row of the grid at the first race. Bodes well, doesn't it?
It bodes so well, and he's on the 2021 bike. He's on basically
last year's winning bike.
Exactly, and that bike's sorted, set. They know exactly what to do with when it comes to tyre life as well. Bastianini's really light. Remember in the races last year, he always comes through at the end of the races. Every rider that spoke about this track talks about tyre degradation, and Bastianini's one of the best at it.
Yeah.
He could win today.
And how key is that going to be at the end of the race here? Temperature's dropping off now as the sun's gone down, the lights are up.
Yeah, here on that track, it's very much of a tyre management exercise. We've got, you know, the tyres here that Michelin brought are in the rear quite similar to what we had last year. The medium from this year is the soft from last year, and the soft is a little bit softer just on the left. In the front, they brought like an allocation that is very simple with no dual compound. So yes, I think a rider like Bastianini starting in the front with a bike that is sorted. It's the bike that Ducati took all year last year to get to perfection. He's going to be very dangerous for that race.
It's going to be a great race. Track temperature of 29 degrees. We'll take a short breather now. When we come back, we'll be on the grid with the riders. Welcome back to our first race of the season. We have reset. We are standing at the side of the grid. As you can see behind us, we've got the Ducati of Jack Miller, who's heading the second row of the grid from 4th. And if you just spin around a little bit, David, you've got pole position. Man, there you go. If we can possibly see him, Jorge Martin is in there somewhere, and we can go down because Nat is talking to the Pramac sporting director, Fonzi Nieto.
Fonzi, your man is on pole position today, and he's led a lot of laps at this circuit, but he was talking yesterday about finding needed something extra for the win today. How has he felt this morning? Have you found that solution?
Yeah, we have a little bit better solution for the pace of the race, and for sure half grid, half medium, another half soft tire. For that, we have to understand that, to manage the tire, especially in the end. We choose soft tire, but I think starting on the first positions is good choice.
He was on the podium here as well last season, but of course 12 months on now, how different is he as a rider?
Every year is different, every year is more difficult. This year Suzuki make a very big step, and also Honda with the engine. I want to see especially what happened on the straight, to understand how the people work on the engines, because Ducati always is strong. But I want to see what happened with this today.
All the best today.
Thank you.
Well, Michael, what did you make of that soft tyre? We were talking about tyres earlier, and certainly Michelin has said there's not that much difference between the soft and the medium.
No, you're always going to get a little bit more grip with the soft. These temperatures are dropping a little bit, so it may play into his hands going from pole position. If you can get to the front, you can control how much load you need to put in that tyre, save it for those last 4 laps. So 22 laps is a long way around here. Tyre management will be key.
Yeah, it is, and looking at shots of Jorge Martin, used to being in pole position. This is his 5th in this class, and he's only had 15 starts, so that's a pretty good percentage. We know he's a pole hound, but in terms of the actual race setting, he felt like he didn't quite have it yesterday.
Yeah, it seems like that 22 engine's a bit aggressive, so they're still trying to dial in those torque maps, the traction control setting, just to make it a little bit smoother off the corner so he's not having to fight it so much. But you know, when you watch him ride a bike, he grabs it by the scruff of the neck, he forces it. So I think even with it not quite fine-tuned, he can still make the difference. He's a great racer, really aggressive. I still think he's a dark horse to win this race tonight.
Okay, well, let's go a little bit further back on the grid to Suzuki, where Nat is there with their new boss, Livio Suppo.
Well, Livio, we spoke yesterday about how the conditions affected qualifying, but many still have the Suzukis as the threat today. What is going to be key for Johann and Alex?
I think keep calm at the beginning. Most probably there will be several riders in a queue because everybody will try to save the tires for the last lap, and then hopefully there will be somebody that start and see what happens. But, you know, as always say, nowadays MotoGP is so close that it's so difficult to predict. I just hope a big show for everybody.
Well, Suzuki have never had a podium at this track. Can they put that right today?
Hope so. I think the potential is there, but, you know, there's many that could be potentially on the podium, so we will see.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Yeah, this has not been a great track for Suzuki. Alex Rins from 10th, Johann Mir from 8th. How do you rate their chances of getting up?
Honestly, I think Alex Rins is the pace to win this race if he's away at the front, but it's hard work from row 4. Johann Mir in there on row 3. They're very good at making inroads in those early laps, so look for the Suzuki to battle through and try and get to the front of the pack. I think Johann, both riders actually have looked strong at different times throughout the weekend, so I think Johann has maybe better racecraft than Alex.
Are they finding themselves in a similar situation at this race anyway to how they were last year? Because on Friday they were topping the sessions and looking so good with that top speed, and the average speed was better. Well, they had the best average speed, which was blowing our minds. But here they are once again, like 3rd, 4th row.
It definitely seems like they've worked on their Achilles heel throughout the winter. There's still a little bit to find, but they definitely showing signs of top speed advantage, of being able to get that 1 lap time attack. So I think the signs over the 21 rounds are very good, but still a little bit to find.
Let's talk about the 8-time world champion Marc Marquez then. We just had shots of him, obviously looking for his 100th podium here. Very good chance, right?
Definitely, he's looked good. It's never been the best track for him, but come race day, he always delivers. Had a little slip off this morning chasing Pecco Bagnaia, pushing that front tyre and it tucked under at turn 10, but he's looked good. The new bike has got more horsepower, more weight towards the rear, so he doesn't have to push that front as hard. But Marc Marquez, he's setting up for 21 races again. He's going for that championship tilt. Podium tonight will be a good result for him. We
had a quick word with Jack Miller earlier. He walked past, we managed to grab him going from the 2nd row, and he seemed incredibly relaxed.
Didn't he? I thought just the way he was talking to you, he just seemed relaxed. He was confident in himself, confident in his machinery. He believes Ducati have given him the ultimate weapon for the season. Hasn't quite been as easy as a weekend as we maybe predicted for Ducati, but they've definitely done their homework in terms of tyre consumption. They've got the horsepower to battle when it comes to the overtake, so I think Jack's well placed as well.
Pecco Bagnaia on the pole, of course, last year. He's having to go from the 3rd row, 9th. Yet when reading his comments yesterday, he seemed as though he thought he's got what it takes to at least get on the podium. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I thought Pecco, 1 lap time attack at the end of last year, he was phenomenal. So he'll be disappointed with the grid position, but he's so good in terms of racecraft. He, again, like Jack, he can use that Ducati horsepower, he can make those overtakes, and I think the engine change, it was led by Pecco this week. He's confident in what he needed from his machine. Ducati have delivered, and again, another championship challenger.
And Ducati have delivered not just to the factory boys, but also Enea Bastianini and the Grassini team on the front row of the grid. It's terrific for them, isn't it?
It really is, to have one Italian in the factory team in Pecco, another Italian in the satellite team on the older model bike delivering. Ducati are in a purple patch in their MotoGP career. They've never had this type of strength since they lost Casey Stoner. All riders happy with the kit, all the bikes fast, right through the range in terms of satellite teams.
I suppose there's 2 ways of looking at Ducati. You know, this is a massive data haul for them, having 8 bikes on the grid. They took the chance, they took the opportunity. Some were saying, are they spreading themselves too thinly?
we heard from Davide earlier, Ducati like to do it a different way to the Japanese. I love how they're going about it. They're throwing their might behind it, putting a lot of money into the sport, supporting young talent, and I think developing what looks like the best motorcycle in the grid. So yeah, I've got my fingers crossed for Ducati this season.
Let's have a little word about KTM. Brad Binder looking good on race pace, and they're trying to really push forward, aren't they, this year?
Yeah, and making good inroads. I think they've definitely got a package. They've got riders now in their second season in that factory squad. They'll definitely step up.
We'll just pause for the Qatari national anthem. So the scene is set, fireworks and a lovely light display going on here in Qatar for the opening round, and we hope there'll be fireworks too during this race as we have relocated. Let's go back to Sylvain, who's got the latest on the tyres.
Yes, so the tyre-wise, we've got quite a little bit of news this year because Michelin has reduced their allocation for the whole year from 41 tyres to 30. This means that they're going to get rid of most of the very specific tyres. For example, here in the front, we don't have asymmetric tyres. They're all the standard ones with the same rubber on both sides. So the riders here, they've chosen between the soft and the medium. Nobody's using the hard. The medium tyre is all for the Hondas that need the support and for the KTMs as well. All the other guys are with the soft. In the rear, it's 50-50, mediums and soft. The Yamahas, the Suzukis, the Aprilias, they've all gone for the medium in the rear, the KTMs as well. And the soft one is for all the Ducatis, almost. I think Pecco might have just changed to a medium as a late change. And that's about it.
Thank you very much, Sylvain. Short and sharp as we look at shots of Marc Marquez, who's just prepping for this, looking for his 100th podium. And we haven't really had time to talk about Franco Morbidelli, who's going from 12th next to his teammate Fabio Quartararo. Obviously injured last year, but what can we expect from him?
He looks leaner than ever. I think the off-season's been good for him, fully recovered from that knee surgery, confident, second year in the factory team, first full year in that factory Yamaha team. I think it might be a steady enough start for Franco here because of the horsepower deficit he's got, but over the season I think Frankie will get back to that, well, he was runner-up just 2 years ago, get back to that form again.
Here is Fabio Quartararo, your reigning world champion, having to go from 11th. Wonder whether he's going to be able to get through. It's going to be so tough. They're lacking that power, still looking for those extra few miles per hour, aren't they?
Yeah, I think the wind died down a little bit tonight, so it might help them through the corners. So I think the Yamaha over race distance is still going to be good. I think this race is going to be a lot about strategy, managing tyres, maybe slowing up the pace at the front. Some people don't like those type of races. I think they can be awesome. They can create a lot of fireworks, might give the option for those inline four bikes to make their way through to the front of the pack.
Paul Espargaro, Marc Marquez's teammate, that bike been made differently, hopefully should suit him a lot more.
Sounds really comfortable with that bike. I think it's allowed him to ride his natural riding style, a lot more on the rear. He's got contact rear grip. As soon as he touches the throttle, he can use that rear brake to decelerate. So he seems confident throughout the weekend. He set a lot of fast lap times as well, and he's well positioned on the grid. So again, everyone I speak about, I keep saying they've got a chance tonight, and they really do. It's that close.
That's the point. That's the scene there, as you say, International Circuit lit in the dark as we are now. It's still warm here, but obviously track temperature has dropped. Aleix Espargaro is well placed as well for Aprilia on the second. This is the best qualifying that Aprilia have had here. Another chance, a bite of the podium possibly for Aleix.
Yeah, definitely. He was really strong in the race here last year. The bike's improved over the winter. He's been setting consistently fast laps throughout the weekend. Good qualifying position, and yeah, don't rule out the Aprilias tonight.
Here's your pole man, then Jorge Martin. What can we expect at the start here?
I think Jorge always starts well. Good run down into turn one, and I think he might control this race. He will get attacks. I think he'll be looking to control it as best as possible, keep those behind him, and manage that tyre consumption.
And then just quickly, do you think we're going to have a race of two halves, or do you think it's going to flow?
Honestly, I think it'll flow. I think it will be Ducati's almost dictating that pace, but look for those V4s coming through. Inline 4s coming through.
The inline 4s coming through, yeah, absolutely. Right, here it comes then, your first MotoGP of the season, live on BT Sport from Qatar as we look across the front row of the grid. Let's head over to the commentary box and join Neil and Gavin.
Here we go then, the wait is over. Thank you, Susie. All the speculation could be put to bed now, can't it? As the lights shine brighter for the stars of MotoGP and the opening race of the 2022 season. It's Jorge Martin who starts it from pole position. The long, bleak winter is over, at least from a MotoGP perspective anyway. 112 days since that Valencia race in November, and we're back under the spectacular floodlights in Qatar for the earliest start of a Grand Prix season for nearly 60 years. And it kicks off what will be the longest ever Premier Class season with 21 rounds ahead of us. We saw your front row of the grid there with Martin, Bastianini and Marc Marquez. Aleix Espargaro on row 2. Are we talking about a return to pre-COVID?
Got to the head of the field.
2 laps to go, she already lost it.
Of a family atmosphere in that team. So, you know, for Enea to go out there, get that win, and make everybody feels so good, and dedicating the victory to Fausto, unbelievable.
Yeah, and more to come with people at home that maybe, if they've just tuned in, don't know anything about MotoGP. This really isn't what you would have expected across the winter. We've got the world champion way down, the factory Ducati's way down. We've got a mixture of manufacturers on the podium. What we have got, and I think it's fair to say, is a really exciting season ahead.
It is wide open. The fact that our reigning champion is struggling in there, but he will, when we go back to Europe especially, he'll be in there racing for victories. There's no doubt about that. Ducati will get that new GP22 bike working. Honda with Marc Marquez will find a little bit more. Suzuki will figure out a way to use that extra horsepower. Everyone has those steps to make. Enea's benefiting from last year's worth of data. That bike, and he's got Girabola in his corner, who worked with Dovi to win races in Ducati. So everything's sort of well aligned for him right now, but everyone else will have their day.
There's 8 Ducatis on the grid. That's a third of the grid. And earlier this morning, when Davide relaxed with us, Tardozzi, he said, I think it's going to be a mess. He wasn't far off.
No, I think because the competition is so tight, everybody has to take so many risks. So we've seen crashes, quite a lot of it actually. We've seen mistakes. We've seen riders, pushing over the limit, cooking the tires a bit too early. The strategy is really important. The outright speed is important, and we're going to see the different strengths as well, the different riders and the different manufacturers, different bikes, on different tracks. So the year is going to be absolutely amazing.
Some fantastic stories on the way for you, as indeed we have one today. Our congratulations and our hearts go to the Gresini team and Enea Bastianini.
Absolutely, Susie, a year on from Fausto's sad demise, and Nadia, his wife, is standing on a MotoGP podium about to accept the trophy for the team who switched from Aprilia to Ducati this year. And look at what it means to Enea and to all the squad down there underneath the podium here in Qatar. He's a popular rider in this paddock, is Enea Bastianini. Quite reserved, as you probably heard in his interview. He knows he's English, he knows he struggles with it a little bit. He's quite a shy character. As the FIM president, Jorge Villegas, hands over the trophy. An emotional victory for Nadia, for the whole Gresini family, for sons Lorenzo and Luca. What a moment. Tears up on the podium. Tears below the podium too. There were tears in the race for Pol Espargaro, but he seemed happy enough in the interview to take third place. It's a good start to the season in the bag. And I'm sure HRC will only believe they can build from there. Ramon Aureen claps on his charge. George Viegas is going to hand over now the second place trophy. KTM's best ever result here in MotoGP goes to Brad Binder. Second place today for the South African. Again, they can only go forwards from there as Enea Bastianini receives the trophy, his first MotoGP victory. And it's pointed to the sky, to Fausto Grassini's memory and honour. And what a day it's been for Italy all round as we hear the Italian national anthem again.
What a day if you're Italian, and a phenomenal performance across the whole weekend for Enea Bastianini. And we talk endlessly about the racing gods looking down, and Fausto Grassini is most definitely a racing god. A great maiden victory then today for Enea Bastianini. Happy days for KTM and Brad Binder showing his strength here in Qatar. And Pol, the #1 Honda this weekend. What a podium that is. That's all we've got time for at the moment. We'll be back with Checkered Flag after the break with all the news and interviews. Don't go away.